I think I was really cooking on my latest video about not buying a Mac Pro 2019. There's absolutely no way that this take will.
The Steam Machine is out, the reviews are out, the price is out. Good God, it's huge.
It's tragic. Actually diabolical.
$1,050 for the 512 gig storage version.
That's without a controller. That's crazy.
And the bundle with the 2 terabyte console, the Steam controller, and the 2 added faceplates will set you back $1,428.
But when I found out, I was like, what?
We found the Steam Machine performed closest to the RX 6600, Intel B570, and RTX 3060.
Unfortunately, it might have seemed cool in 2023. In 2026, the hardware is obviously clearly lackluster.
It's not a great deal! Valve does not get contracts with Samsung, SK Hynix, or Micron, who collectively control almost the entire DRAM market.
Valve's response is that this is what it costs us to make. We're not even making a profit on the console, which is probably true, given that the cost of RAM has gone astronomical due to AI.
Apple raised prices across the board.
A lot of Apple products seeing the price increase quite a bit.
We have shielded our customers from these increases so far, but we have now reached a point where we need to begin raising prices on a number of products, including today's increases for iPad and Mac. And like I said, I'm absolutely stunned with how much they increased their prices.
And this wasn't just a small adjustment either. Some products went up by $50 or $100. And a couple of the high-end Macs jumped up by over $1,000.
When was the last time Apple increased prices across the board like this? I can't even remember if it's ever happened, so this is a big deal.
So it's really disappointing, but also kind of inevitable to see Apple take this kind of step.
God damn it all. Alright, this video is going to be why you should buy a Mac Pro 2019, and I'm going to start drinking. Everything in this beautiful world seems to be getting worse, especially when it comes to technology.
Just for an idea of how bad it's gotten, this 4 terabyte drive I bought for $219 from B&H, and now the prices have gone up to about $899.
And it just seems like they keep going up every time I look.
So demand for these chips is growing about 20 to 22% every year, but production is only growing about 15 to 17%.
In addition, the majority of the NAND flash memory chips used in SSDs are manufactured by the same companies who make most of the world's DRAM. This matters because Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron can, to some extent, replace NAND flash production with DRAM production.
Meanwhile, some manufacturers are reportedly purposefully constraining supply amidst the shortage and prioritizing higher margin enterprise SSDs over consumer solutions. Samsung Electronics slightly lowered its NAND wafer output from 4.9 million last year to 4.68 million this year. SK Hynix's NAND output is also expected to follow a similar path.
The industry is trying to turn your footage into a monthly utility bill.
And the consumers are basically left holding the bag after we built these companies up.
China's approach with their NAND and DRAM manufacturers like CXMT and YMTC, who are compelled to produce consumer chips alongside enterprise chips as a condition of receiving government aid, is a sensible one, because catering only to massive enterprise customers whose buying power is largely dependent on their stock price might not be the wisest long-term strategy.
So the big question everyone has is, when is this going to get better? When will we maybe see things return to normal?
For the next 2 years, I think this is just going to flat out drive up storage costs.
This video is best paired with a 2022 wow, the clap really went flying. The 2022 Goose. My camera's having a hell of a time dealing with the white balance, so I'm going to change the background lights. Comparing the Steam Machine's GPU to the Mac Pro 2019 is a bit of a tough prospect. Sure, they both can run Linux and very similar distros at that, and they both like AMD GPUs, but there isn't a true analog to the chipset that's found in the Steam Machine that's a dedicated GPU like the ones you'd find in a Mac Pro 2019. Closest performance-wise is a 6600 XT. That is not a high-performance GPU. It's cheap when it came out, and it still can be had for around $200. But the prices are always moving, so any prices I see in this video are basically worthless. You just have to check in your local markets and on eBay and hope to God that you're finding a cheap GPU. But anyways, if you're willing to spend a little bit more money, like a 6800 or 6800 XT, you can get a lot better GPU performance in the Mac Pro 2019 over a Steam Machine. Not that surprising, but needs to be said. The next is the CPU, where it's not as cut and dry. The Mac Pro 2019 in every CPU configuration is going to lose in single core performance. However, even the base 8 core is on par with the Steam Machine and multi-core. Jump up to the 16 core and it just smokes it. So overall, the Mac Pro 2019 will be faster than the Steam Machine. So if you get a base model Mac Pro and you somehow scored it for under $1,000, you would be able to put together, for the same price as a Steam Machine, a much faster computer. The Mac Pro 2019 is not a great gaming platform. Just on its sheer physical size, it's not deep enough. It can only handle 12 inches. Insert your dick joke right there. Anyhow, even finding appropriately sized 6900 XTs, a dated graphics card that's still supported under Mac OS, is a bit of a problem. You have to target certain versions that are under 12 inches. Again, dick joke there. Most of my audience is well aware of this, but the Mac Pros use Xeon CPUs, which are workstation or server CPUs, which have entirely different performance targets than a consumer one. These tend to favor things like bandwidth and multi-core performance above all else, whereas a consumer-grade CPU would target things like single-core performance and a high turbo clock, so that way it can achieve single tasks faster, which is more ideal for gaming. That is just supremely good beer. As I previously mentioned, the Mac Pro 2019s may not be single-core performance monsters. They certainly are pretty heavy in the multi-core and hold up to a lot of modern CPUs just by brute forcing how many cores they have. I don't honestly think very many Steam Machine buyers are really looking at a Mac Pro 2019, but I do think Mac Pro 2019 buyers should look at putting together their own PC if for gaming. Because if you're paying around $2,000 for a Mac Pro 2019 setup, chances are you could put together a much better gaming PC on a newer platform that might survive out the other end of the RAM apocalypse and price apocalypse, which might be 2 to 3 years at this point. This is why I rarely do videos off the cuff, because there are a few things that I think I missed. The Mac Pro 2019 is a much more capable computer than the Steam Machine, just by virtue of having PCIe slots and 10 gigabit Ethernet, Thunderbolt 3, as well as a hell of a lot more RAM slots. If you're looking at a Steam Machine and size doesn't matter to you, or you're not looking to stick it into a living room, the Mac Pro 2019 is a better buy. That is, if you can get it at a decent price. Admittedly, these are very different computers in the apples to orange comparison. The Mac Pro 2019 is ginormous and power hungry. The Steam Machine is tiny and power efficient. Also, if you're looking at a Mac Pro 2019 purchase and upgrading it to the spec you want, costs over $2,000, you really still have to consider Apple Silicon, even with the price increases, as that's a modern computer built with a modern platform. And it's just so much more quiet and low power, all the good things. It'll have support for macOS from here and until, I don't know, Apple needs more money and cancels your support. I would honestly love to compare a Mac Pro 2019 to a Steam Machine, but honestly, look at this. I'm not the professional YouTuber, and I don't make that kind of money on YouTube. However, I do have something cool that I'd like to share with you. I'm working on an Xbox 360 emulator for the Mac, and if you're on Patreon, you can actually get early access to it. It actually works. I'll show some video right now. Hopefully I'm playing video of Xbox 360 games and not my face. This is very much an alpha build of Xenia, an Xbox 360 emulator that's starting to boast a decent amount of compatibility. Roughly about 170 games are considered playable, and about 800 titles where you can get to gameplay with glitches. My port is much less than that, but you know, it's an alpha. Alright, this has been my half-assed attempt to try and convince you to buy a Mac Pro 2019. On screen are my Patreons who actually pay me money. These people are amazing. I can't believe they do this because I've given them basically nothing in return. They're legends for that. And then now they actually get something. I don't know if they care, but they get something. If you sign up for free, you still get updates, and you'll get to find out first when I put the Xbox 360 emulator out to the general public. Thanks for watching.